Hello and welcome everybody to Flicker Effect. This is episode 260. It's being recorded on Sunday, July 8th, 2018. I'm David Lott. Joining me this week is Bobby Jackson.
Hello, what's up?
Jascha Wilson.
Hey, everybody.
And Michelle Hillard.
Hello, everyone. Hello.
We are 11 days away from San Diego Comic-Con. 10 days to preview night.
Yes.
Comic-Con.
Yes.
All the
con cometh.
All the panel schedules are out.
Mm-hmm.
That's a whole debate we could spend a whole podcast on, and we probably will this week or sometime
And
soon.
we have before.
Yeah. Damn you, Marvel. That's all I gotta say.
I like how you're blaming the whole thing on Marvel.
I do. I blame Marvel. This is Marvel's fault.
Marvel is just not about it. He's like, they're just like, we have too much going on. You know what, guys? We don't even want to deal with the headache. So guess what? We're out.
We just ain't even going.
We were just talking about right before we started recording. Marvel Studios literally like 10 minutes ago Instagrammed a photo from it, kind of seems to be hinting or mentioning the fact that Captain Marvel's not done shooting.
Right.
It's yet another more evidence for me to be like, why the fuck aren't you there?
Right. Like Captain Marvel has wrapped. Why are you not going to be in San Diego? I don't understand. I literally don't understand.
Yeah, and they probably have a working mock-up trailer, something to the effect of to showcase a little bit. There should be a panel there just showing it. It's just gotta be the whole premise of, what, we have way too much going on. You're gonna want to ask questions about Infinity War. So guess what? We're just what? We're just gonna take the toy away. How about that?
Right. I feel like they're just too afraid to deal with people's bullshit for Infinity War. They're like, you know what? Yeah, no, we're fine. We're good. See y'all next year. Peace out.
Yeah. Too many people slip. I.e., what's his name? The Spider-Man.
Tom Holland.
Tom Holland slips way too much. It's just like, you know what? Screw it. We're just not even going to go.
Right.
We're not going to talk about this in detail now, but for anybody wondering what the hell we're kind of talking about, but when the panel schedule came out, at least I'm annoyed that the Saturday Hall H schedule has got to be the weakest Hall H on Saturday I've ever seen, at least in my now few years of going to Comic-Con. It's pretty bad. And anyway, I'm being a whiny little brat.
I'm not crying. I swear I'm not crying right now.
But yeah, we'll talk more about Comic-Con soon, probably in our next episode, as we are so soon to be going out there to San Diego.
10 days, baby. 10 days. 10 days. I don't have to deal with this humidity no more.
I am already kind of like in vacation mode, and it's still like over a week away, which is really not good.
I'm super in vacation mode. It's fine.
Especially after you've been looking at the entire panel schedule for the past like 3 or 4 days. Like now the anticipation is really like jumping up, and I'm like, I'm done. I'm like, I have to get through a whole week of work. It's not gonna be good.
And a day.
A week and a day. Yeah. For some reason, I'm going to work next Monday. I don't know why I'm doing that.
Because you're weird.
It's fine. It's fine. Anyway.
Oh, Comic-Con.
So I'm very curious to hear everyone's thoughts on Ant-Man and the Wasp. But first,
oh man,
real quick,
a tease.
Real quick, I'm curious to hear a couple things first, or at least one thing first. Jascha, you haven't been with us for a few episodes, Jascha.
It's been like a month and a half.
Guys, I'm really sorry about that.
No, man, it's fine. Just miss you.
Life happens, it always gets in the way of doing the things that we find incredibly important, i.e. watching movies and talking about them in depth until nauseam.
Right.
I'm really curious. You just saw today Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. Unfortunately, you and Bobby weren't able to make the last episode. Michelle and I recorded a show where we basically all we did was really review Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom.
Beat the shit out of, whatever, same difference. I'm
curious to hear your thoughts. For anyone who hasn't heard that episode, it's safe to say I was not happy with that movie. So I'm really curious, Jascha, what did you think of it?
Yeah, I haven't listened to the episode because I didn't want to really be tainted or and hear you guys' opinion
Smart move.
yet. But just from hearing a little bit of what you guys have talked about right now, I think we're kind of on the same page with that. I was genuinely kind of disappointed in the overall outcome of that film. I was not impressed, not pleased. It was very lackluster and almost seemed very lazy in the sense of them just trying to put out another movie with the title Jurassic World on it to kind of get it a cash grab. It basically is what I feel like it kind of was in overall.
Amen.
I still love Chris Pratt. I still love Bryce Dallas Howard.
Yeah.
I did not love this movie. To go from what they essentially did with the first one and like the one where the last 2 years ago with Chris Pratt, like that was genuinely an entertaining film. I think, David, when you talked about it, you were very shocked that you actually liked it. You were just like, it was funny. Like it made fun of itself. It had some very strong comedic parts. It was different. In a sense, basically at the same time, it's still dinosaurs killing people, but this just seemed lazy. Like it was very predictable. And it just made me sad when I kind of ultimately walked out of it. My friends were like, oh, well, tell me what you think of it. And I'm just going to tell them, I was like, you have no rush to go out there and see it in the theater. Take your time. Like basically put it on at home in the background on HBO, and you will still not miss anything. It seems like it just went back to that one where they had to go and rescue the boy, and I think they just did a honest trailer on that one, and they completely ripped it apart, and it just basically that's what I felt like this. I was thoroughly disappointed. I looked at the relaunching of the franchise with the last one as like an 8 or a 9 in how much I enjoyed it and how entertaining it was, and then I looked at this and I was like, yeah, this was like a strong 3 or a 4 maybe. It was not great. That's pretty much my thoughts on it.
Yeah, I mean, anybody can go back and listen to that last episode, 259, but I think I said the words I hated it.
No, you definitely said you hated that film.
And
I disliked it strongly.
I don't know if I still don't think that's too strong. I do think I hated that movie.
It was a bad film.
I did not like it. And like you just said, Jascha, I liked Jurassic World. I was pleasantly surprised by it. I had pretty low expectations for that too, and I enjoyed it.
I remember the conversation. I remember when we talked about it, and you were just like you were kind of I think excited to hear that. I mean, I think Bobby liked it. I got on there and I raved about how much fun it was, and the throwbacks, and the easy jokes, and how it made fun of itself. And then I remember you getting on, and it's like, I did not expect to like this movie, and I really, really liked this movie. Like, it was funny, and you really enjoyed the last one. So, not surprised that you didn't like this one, because I was right there kind of with you. I'm just like, wow, this is predictable, corny, cheesy, very lazy in its writing, and it was just not good.
No, not good.
I think that's the consensus here.
That's a consensus. We teased at the end of that last episode that we'd do like a little spoiler episode, just because there's still things I need to get out of me in terms of how much I dislike that film that I can't say without talking about spoilers. But we haven't had a chance to do that yet. Maybe we'll.
We've been so busy. Everybody. That's the 4 of us.
I'd still like to make that happen, because it's hard even like bitch about it to an ultimate level without discussing spoilers.
It would be cathartic to have a spoiler.
Mainly the ending of that movie, which drives me insane. Anyway. Anyway, so.
Yeah, it was just not. I really got up and I was like, wow, that was it, huh? That was what I was waiting for.
Right.
That's what I was excited to see.
Right.
But that sucks. It's just like, man, I was thoroughly disappointed in the overall outcome of that film.
Right.
I think that film is going to wind up being my biggest disappointment for 2018. And I say that, and I didn't have a bar set extremely high for that film in any way, shape, or form. That bar was pretty fucking low. The fact that they lowered that bar, like, that's bad. Anyways.
But this weekend we got Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Yes!
New Marvel movie.
I have not been excited for this film at all.
Feels weird though. I think after the last couple Marvel movies and how much anticipation there has been for them, it almost didn't feel like a Marvel movie came out this weekend in some ways. Like, I've been pumped about Ant-Man, but because it's not a Marvel film, an MCU film that has as much buzz around it and excitement around it, I feel like, oh yeah, it's a Marvel movie. Oh.
Yeah, I even told same group of friends. I told them that I went and saw Marvel Ant-Man and the Wasp yesterday, and they're like, "Oh, yeah, I guess that did come out this weekend." Yeah, I have a hard time getting into Ant-Man, and I genuinely asked them. I was like, "Well, why?
Right.
What about it is it that you're not enjoying?
Like, is it just a silly name or something? You think?
Is it the character? Is it his powers? Like, I mean." And he's like, "Well, it's not Thor." And I'm like, "Well, no shit, it's not Thor."
It's not Thor.
Right.
He's not even close to Thor. There's only one Thor. Like, I mean, even Hulk isn't in Thor, you know? So it's like, but it's like, I was just like, you gotta get past the idea of the name being, you know, as silly as it is, and just kind of enjoy it for what it is. Silly and kind of a fun movie. So I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I've got nothing else. It came out. Saw it Friday night, a couple nights ago. I'm curious to know what everyone thought. Michelle and I, we haven't talked about it yet, even though we saw it together. I haven't said a word. But since you were already kind of talking, Ash, I'm curious, what'd you think of it?
I enjoyed it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm not going to get into spoilers just yet. I thought it was a great lead-in. I laughed. I laughed a lot. A little predictable in some sense, but at the same time, it was very, very fun movie. And like I was just kind of saying to you guys, and the advice that I was giving to my friends was like, you can't take this movie too seriously. You just have to kind of enjoy it for what it is. And I like Paul Rudd. He does a fantastic job of it in this movie. And it was just a fun, silly, you know, nice tie into the MCU world. Almost feels like this one might be a little bit more for kids, where in the rest of the MCU, some of it's getting, you know, obviously very dark with the last Infinity War that we just saw, and Thor, and, you know, that was fun, but it did end up having some pretty dark scenes and dark parts in that movie as well. But this was a really, I enjoyed this movie. I thought it was a lot of fun. I could probably sit through it again in the theater if I have the time. It's not one that I would rush out to go see. Like, I would love to go out and see some of the others twice, but I would definitely probably be able to sit through this a second time.
Cool. Bobby, what'd you think of Ant-Man and the Wasp?
After having watched Infinity War and having that big whole heaviness coming out of the theater of that, Ant-Man was looked at as being something that was going to be a bit of a palate cleanser, and that's pretty much how I felt. It's everything Jascha said, and I mean, the first word that comes to mind is fun, just because of the nature of the movie. It's lightheartedness, and it doesn't have to worry about the heaviness and the big sort of idea of fighting these universe-threatening villains. It's more personal. And the first one was like that, and the second one continues on with that theme of being very personal and relating to the characters that we got to know in the first one. And they doubled down on some things that were great in the first one to good effect in this one as well, and building upon other aspects that you get to see a lot of action. And one of the things that I was really impressed about effortless, especially when there's the downsizing and the upsizing or shrinking and the growing. It looks so well done that it's just amazing to me. Sometimes I just sit back and realize that we're spoiled in the way that some things look so real, where if they would have tried to do these things 10, 15 years ago, they just would have looked poor in the effort. But seeing the way that they do it, it just looks really, really good, and it adds that element and really pulls you into the movie, being able to see that because it's so seamless. And even in the effects of the villain, Ghost, it just looks really well done, and the effect of it that it has, and just a lot of good characterizations going on in this one. The story element that was there, I really enjoyed, and just overall a good time being able to watch the movie and see these characters after seeing such a heavy movie like Infinity War.
Michelle, what did you think of Ant-Man and the Wasp?
I mean, I definitely echo the tones of the guys. I think this film was a lot of fun from start to finish. I enjoyed it immensely. I think it's, like Bobby's saying, like, it gives you a nice lighthearted feeling after, especially after seeing Avengers Infinity War. I don't know. I liked it a lot. I feel like, though, maybe some of the jokes weren't quite as strong as, say, in the first film if I compared them. But overall, I still think the jokes were funny. I still think they hit really well. I think Paul Rudd and Evangeline Lilly are a joy to watch on screen together. And I don't know. There was just a lot. I really enjoyed this. I really liked the camaraderie that they have between the two of them. And even what's going on between Scott Lang's character and Dr. Pym, and I don't know, it's really entertaining to watch. I had a good time watching this. I wish I had a lot more depth to this one, but it was nice to watch from start to finish. Like, it just felt good. That's really all I got for that one.
Yeah, I guess I will echo everyone in that I really enjoyed it. In fact, I don't know. Part of me feels like maybe based on the things you guys are saying, maybe I enjoyed it more. Like, I loved the movie.
I really had a good time.
I really, really quite liked it. In fact, I'm trying to think, and please, if I'm forgetting something, correct me. But, I mean, I think it's safe to say, I think most people would agree, like, when it comes to MCU sequels, like, Winter Soldier is got to be, like, way up there near number one.
Right.
Like, what else?
Yeah.
Easy top three.
Winter Soldier for me seems like it's got to be the best.
Iron Man 2 was pretty weak. And I'm going to say what I'm going to say. And Thor Dark World was not well received. I enjoy Thor Dark World. But I know it was not received well as far as the sequels go.
I'm just saying, for me, when I think of the MCU sequels, Winter Soldier, that's a damn solid movie. That's got it. To me, I think that's the strongest sequel we've had.
Right.
I really think that Ant-Man and the Wasp would be at number 2.
I agree.
I thought it was a really great sequel, and I know some people are probably freaking out because I know there's a lot of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 fans out there, and I've said before, I'm not saying I hate that movie, it's just I'm not as big of a fan as most people, so that's why I would easily, for me, put Ant-Man and the Wasp above that one.
I'll agree.
But, yeah, I loved it. I really enjoyed the film. I thought it was a lot of fun. Kind of everything you guys have said. There's some stuff I'd like to point out, but I don't really want to talk about plot points, so I'm not really kind of getting in the spoiler territory. But I really enjoyed it.
I have one complaint.
You have a complaint?
I will be honest. I have one complaint about this film.
Your complaint will be heard. Let's hear it.
Quite honestly, I could have gone for some more Wasp kicking ass.
Really? Because I felt like she was not. Didn't mean to interrupt you, David, but it's like I really felt like she was the hero of this movie. Ant-Man was a very distant second. Like, because I mean, he was there on occasion, but it's like most of the fight scenes really involved her kicking ass.
I know, and I liked it.
I didn't really catch anybody else really kind of. The Ant-Man really wasn't doing it, not in this one. And the Wasp she was all over the place. I just felt like there was a lot.
I know, it was great.
You're just saying you want more.
I wanted more.
Okay, that's fair.
I'm not saying like there wasn't enough. I'm saying like I want more. Give me more. Give me more.
I'd also like to point out, like, does Abby Ryder Forstum age Cassie? Because she looks exactly the same as she did in the very first Ant-Man.
I mean, I will say she looks about 2 years older to me, if I were to guess.
It's only been 2 or 3 years since they probably, had to break up filming. But I'm just looking at it as like this chick, looks to me exactly the same. Like there's really no difference in her. Maybe I need to go back and rewatch Ant-Man to see, but it's like she looks exactly the same to me.
I think she's at that age where she's got like some awkward quirks coming through where Like she's in between phases of being like this cute little itty bitty kid and being a really pretty like preteen. Like she's in that lovely quirky age where you go, okay, your body hasn't figured out what the hell it wants to do. Like your facial features are just stuck in between small child and preteen. And I can see that looking at her face. And I'm not saying like she's that sounds mean. I'm just saying she's in that age group where it's like she's growing into a preteen phase, and so it's kind of this weird, quirky section of life that we all looked goofy as shit in. That's my
I was just gonna say until you said that, Yash, I didn't even think about it. And now that for me, after you mentioned it, I'm like, oh yeah, like I really didn't think that she kind of looks the same. I mean, in a sense, it works out that she's supposed to be a couple years older, and it's been 2 or 3 years since we saw Ant-Man, you know. So, but in reality, I don't know. I guess I'd have to go back and immediately watch the first Ant-Man to see how young she looked in that.
Like for me, like looking
kids,
at her,
I feel like kids at that age usually in movies, you know, when you only see them in one thing and then you see them in something else a year or two later, it's always sometimes so they look so drastically older, you know, and I guess I would have assumed, yeah, you're right. I think maybe she would have looked even older than she does here, and she really doesn't.
I mean, I think she's, like I said, she's in those awkward ages where basically like her mouth is too big for her face.
Jeez.
Wow. Wow,
you know,
Michelle.
when like basically
you're on timeout, Michelle. You're just being at this point. You're officially on timeout, young lady.
just saying, like, you know, like basically like she's losing her baby teeth and she's getting all her adult teeth, and so the adult teeth are bigger than her head can contain. And we all went through that phase. Do not even pretend like y'all didn't have big old goofy grins when you were 7 or 8 years old, and your heads weren't even that big.
Any older. That's all
I think she looks exactly the way she should look. She looks like she's at the right age. Like, I think she looks the same. I think she looks good. She looks like she's aged, and she's in that quirky phase where she's like trying to figure it all out.
So anyway.
Oh my God. You guys, now, see, I'm a jerk.
Oh, stop it. You're not a jerk. I was just going to finish saying, yeah, I really enjoyed the film. I was expecting to enjoy it, but I think I enjoyed it even more than I expected. It exceeded my expectations.
I agree with that.
It worked for me. I have one minor complaint that we definitely can't get into until we talk about spoilers, but it actually has to do with the mid-credit scene.
Ugh.
And I don't know. I think my thing about the mid-credit scene is like I wish it had actually been the post-credit scene. Mm-hmm. You know, and again, we'll talk about that in spoilers. Just a nitpicky kind of problem I had with it. Mm-hmm. But otherwise, the film itself, I quite enjoyed it. I thought it was great. And it's a bummer to me that I'm not surprised. No one is surprised, but it's really a bummer to see movies like Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom make so much money in their opening weekends, and then Ant-Man makes $76 million, which is a lot of money.
Yeah.
But I feel like lately we've had such huge blockbuster films drop and such big box office takes that 76 for an MCU film feels weak. You know?
Well, I think it harkens back to what Jascha is saying. Basically, like, I think some people just don't really know how they feel about this one in the MCU as a whole. I think I don't know. It's almost like it's not serious enough, maybe. I guess maybe that's what is happening, and they don't take it as seriously as the other films. I don't know if that's I wish I had more information on this. I think some people look at this film and they don't really know how to make it fit into the whole spectrum of the MCU. And I'm saying that, like, I definitely understand its relevance and its impact upon the entire storyline that's happening right now. Like, I totally get it. But I think the average moviegoer, if they, you know, looked at other Marvel films that are out there and then compared this, they'd be like, well, what the hell does this films have to do with everything else? And I think it's just because its impact is so much more acute, and I think unless you know what's going on, to the average person, the Ant-Man films are just kind of like, okay, really, these are Marvel films? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's almost like confusing,
right?
I don't know.
Well, talking about
to be fair,
oh, go ahead.
to be fair, the movie believe, like, if you're comparing it to the first one, the first one only made like 50, 60 million.
Yeah.
And
No, it made more money.
that
Definitely.
one, yeah. And the budget for this movie, I believe it was like 165 million or something. So it's definitely, if you just look at the numbers from the numbers game, I'm sure Marvel is pretty happy with it, and it's not under doing anything. But if you look at the other character movies that have come out, I believe this is the lowest in terms of opening. I think Doctor was the lowest or I think of the newer movies, and I think where it comes into play is that with Ant-Man, his character has been so insular in that it was really standalone in a way before a lot of the other movies were standalone. Everything else was tying into everything else. And so this one is a movie where it's kind of, for lack of a better word, it's kind of skippable. It's not like you have to see it in the sense to know what's going on or to have it tie into the larger world per se. So I could see where a lot of people wouldn't show out for this one in the same way that they would for a Thor movie or a Captain America movie or Guardians or any of the other ones that have. So I don't see that it should be doing any better just because of the nature of the character himself.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have anybody else really popping into the story per se, like physically, I should say. I mean, they talk about his bout with Civil War in Germany. That's basically the whole reason why he's under house arrest. And they talk about that a lot. And basically, the constant ongoing joke is him and Cap, and that's great. But I think it's just that, he doesn't, like, Iron Man doesn't pop in. Captain America doesn't pop in. Like, nobody else that's like the major Avenger kind of jumps in this film. And I think so for a lot of people, they have a hard connection seeing him with the other major headline Avengers. Am I making that kind of? Yeah. Okay.
No,
Anyways, that's my thought. I guess that's where I'm at. Like, I think that's what some people, they don't quite pull all together, I think, the way that we all kind of do, but yeah.
Well, yeah.
But I liked it. I liked this film a lot. Very happy with it. It was fun. Lots of fun. I love watching Wasp kick ass.
I liked it a lot.
It's cool. Super, super cool.
All right, so spoilers. I know there's not a lot to talk about with Ant-Man spoilers, I don't think, but a little bit. So yeah, for anyone listening, we'll talk a little bit about spoilers for Ant-Man and the Wasp as of right now.
Spoiler warning! Spoilers warning! Spoiler warning!
Is that the new tone?
I'm doing what I can here.
All right, you do it. Spoilers. Bobby, do you have something you wanted to talk about real quick? Bobby, you there?
Yeah. I'm sorry. I thought you said Jascha. Well, I mean, there's only one really big spoiler to mention, and that was at the end of the movie when I guess there's that visit to the quantum realm one more time, and Scott's there to collect some quantum energy, and in order to help give Ghost her treatment to help her with her powers. And as he's in there, he's ready to come back out, and there's Janet and Hank and I forgot Evangeline Lilly's character's name. Hope. They're all, thanks, Michelle. They're all out there ready to bring him back, and then you don't hear from them, and you get Scott's perspective, and then they go outside of the quantum realm and show you what's going on, and then all you see is that black ash, that dust from, I guess, apparently at that point in time is when Thanos must have snapped his fingers, because all three of them were no more, and Scott's just hanging out in the quantum realm in need of some help to get back out.
Like, first of all, when that mid-credit scene played out, I was like, wait, what? And I almost forgot that even occurred. And I had forgotten that for a split second, the entire film took place just ever so slightly before Avengers Infinity War or during Avengers Infinity War. So when that happened, I was like, wait, I totally didn't think about that. And then my next thought was, wow, I feel like even out in California, they would have had the news that an alien invaded New York City at that point in time, during that day. Like, what?
Well, we also don't know. We're not giving a context when this mid-credit scene happens. How long has it been since the end of the movie, right? I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. We don't know how long it's been. So we don't know what they know at that point, really.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. I mean, we don't. I mean, I would just say, I don't know. That aspect of it doesn't bother me that much, just because in terms of the film itself, we don't really know where at places. I mean, we know it's after Civil War, kind of before Infinity War, but as for the mid-credit scene, I mean, it's such a brief moment. We don't, they may be like, oh yeah, some crazy shit happening, but they didn't talk about it in that moment, in that scene, you know?
I
You're just
think
shaking your head at me anyway. What is it, Buffy?
You guys hear me?
Yeah.
No, I was just gonna say. Okay, I think it's a legitimate point that Michelle is making, just because of the fact that it, for something like that of that nature to be happening with Thanos and everything that happened in New York before that time, when you have people who have abilities like Ant-Man and Hank Pym and his technology, you would think that they would sort of rush to go help, because even if, like, let's just say Hank and Janet off on their house that's on the island, and so maybe they're cut off from any news and whatnot, but I'm pretty sure Scott would know what's going on, being so connected. So you would think maybe that within that time frame, at least from the events of what happened in New York before Thanos gets to Earth, that there would have been some concern. But having said that, it didn't bother me. I just feel like it's something that they won't probably address in any shape or form. And it's just one of those things where you kind of just have to be like, well, I'm not going to apply too much logic to it, because yeah, it could break apart, but just in and of itself, just taking it as what it is more of what I think they want you to kind of take away from it, more so than anything else.
So I guess here's the question is, do we think that Scott Ant-Man is going to get out of the quantum realm on his own, or is he going to use, what is it, like the time worm, like continuum thing that's in there, that's in the quantum realm, like the time, what is it called, a time, I don't know, like bridge or something like that?
I mean, that's all speculative. Who knows when or how he's going to get out exactly. I mean, he could figure out some magical way while he's there and just all of a sudden be large again, or somebody else could be there, since his partner could pop up and he could be like, hey, yeah, press this button, and then he comes out like, what happened?
Like,
and,
maybe Eve escaped the whole like going to dust thing, and she shows up and she's like, y'all haven't shown up with my treatment, and she gets there and she realizes nobody's there, and then she can like look at the computer really quickly and be like, oh shit, Scott's still in there, and then press a button or something, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, he can hear him when he's in there, like through the microphone, so
right.
Anybody that comes up could essentially talk through if he kind of has an idea of it. Or Lawrence Fishburne's character, because maybe he's not far off either.
Right. If he didn't, yeah, depending on who did or didn't get the old Thanos finger snap.
Yeah. So I mean, it's all relative, and I'm sure they'll figure out some comic book way, as they do. I mean, we all know that's a joke, an ongoing joke from everybody is nobody really dies in comic books. So
what'd be really funny is if basically, like, in the next Avengers, they don't explain it. Like, Scott just shows up as Ant-Man and does his thing with them. And then they're like, wait, so you were in the quantum realm. How'd you get out? And then it goes to his friend who is what's his name, Garcia, and he's like, so it's like this, and he starts breaking it down the way he tells stories, and he does it like this really random way, and he's like, and then Eve showed up and was like, what? Scott's still in the quantum realm. I'm gonna press this button, and Scott's like, what? Think, girl, you the best. You saved me from the quantum realm, and like he'll tell the story that way to like basically like Captain America and like like to all of them, and then they all stand there looking at him going,
I love that idea, and I love the optimism on it. I really doubt that that's the route that they're gonna go.
but it would be so freaking funny.
But I mean, it's like, I've seen memes where it's like everybody says, I don't want to watch any more Marvel movies. I just want them to be told through Michael Pena.
Yes.
As his character.
Oh god, it'd be
up
so
to me.
funny.
And he does it so well. I was like, and I was like watching it with Shannon. Like I said, like this guy is hilarious. And what's funny is that he is in serious dramatic pieces too. Like he has acting chops. He is really talented. This is just him being ridiculous, and I think he's just having fun with it.
Totally.
I've seen him in stuff that it's like he's really, really good, and it's like, man, this is blowing my mind when I see him do a character as ridiculous as this.
Right.
It's just fun.
No, I'm just thinking like it'd be really funny to watch him do that, to watch Michael Pena basically play his character explaining to like, you know, Tony Stark and Captain America, like how Scott got out of the quantum realm, and he could tell it in the way that that character tells it. It would be the funniest damn scene in the entirety of Infinity War or Avengers, whatever number 2 Infinity War is going to be.
Right.
Infinity War 2.
Avengers 4, Infinity War 2, whatever.
Infinity War Part 2.
Right. No,
Anyways.
I was just going to point out, I think my problem with the mid-credit scene, and again, may seem silly to most people, I don't know, but to me, it's like the movie was just so much fun. It even ends on that stupid Partridge Family song, the happy song.
Hello world, there's a song we'll be singing.
It's just like, it has such a happy ending. And then, like, boom, we get this mid-credit scene that reminds us, oh, by the way, life sucks, everybody. and it's, to me, I get it, because Marvel is definitely now in the routine of, you know, we're doing 2 scenes with most of these movies, 2 credit scenes, and they put the important one mid-credits because they want more people to see it. You know, maybe most people may not stay for the post-credit scene, and that's always kind of just a funny, silly one. It's not really needed to be seen, right? But it's like, so I get why they put it there, but at the same time, it's like, I really wish it had been like the post-credit scene, a little more separated from the movie. Like, the movie's over, and like, just let's separate it. I know that may seem dumb, like it's only like a couple more minutes, but I think just the fact that it would have been separated by the full credits, and it would have just, I don't know, I felt like when it jumped right in the middle of the credits and we had just finished this great happy movie, it's like, oh fuck, like that sucks.
Right.
You know, I don't know, that bugged me. It bugged me almost that it had to be there at all in that sense. Like, I get it, because I was fully expecting it. I mean, basically, when the movie ended, I was like, all right, well, we're getting the mid-credit scene, and somehow it's going to tie into Avengers. What's it going to do? And as soon as it started, I was like, oh, I see where this is going. Like, and sure enough, yep, he goes in, and he can't get out. Like, yep, that
poof.
seemed pretty obvious. But I was just like, oh, that's a bummer. Like, we were so happy that now, like, Ant-Man and the Wasp are a fighting team, and everything's awesome, and
Right.
now they're all gone. I don't know. That's the only thing that bugged me.
Well, on that cheery note,
I'm just saying.
There was one other thing that I saw. It was mentioned online, so I can't take credit for it. But if you guys remember in the movie where Walter Goggins kept talking about that he has a buyer, and they never really show who this person is that wants this quantum technology. There was a theory that's going around, or maybe created by one person that's starting to spread a little bit, that the person that wanted this technology that is his buyer happens to be Norman Osborn. And I was like, oh man, really? And then I started to think about it, and I looked a little bit deeper, and I don't know in terms of how much this is true or if you have to take it with a grain of salt, but someone said that that Marvel had asked or told Sony to not use the Norman Osborn character in any of the Spider-Man movies because they essentially have some plans for him in the MCU. So take that as you will. I don't know if that's true. I guess we'll see at some point in time. But it is interesting that we haven't had any mention of Osborn in at least one Spider-Man movie that we've had, and not even a setup towards it. So it is a possibility.
That'd be kind of cool.
All right. Well, with that, one last thing before we go, our I Challenge You segment. Last time we talked about I Challenge You, Michelle challenged Bobby to watch West Side Story. And for those who don't know, not familiar with the segment, one of us is always challenged to watch something that they have not seen before for whatever reason. And then, that person reports back, and then they get to challenge the next person, and on it goes. So, Bobby, you watched West Side Story. What did you think?
So, West Side Story, obviously everyone knows the story. It's based off of a Broadway show, which it talks about these two rival gangs, and there's the Sharks and the Jets, and the person that's in part of the gang of the Jets falls in love with the sister of someone that's in the Sharks, and it's this whole sort of Romeo Juliet kind of story. I guess the best way I can describe it and break it down is in three different phases. There's the good, the bad, and the ugly. And the good of it, I thought, was that the choreography is really well done. I mean, it really shows you how good a musical can be in terms of syncing with the music and being able to get these dance steps, and however many takes it must be used in order to get this. You can just tell that there's a lot of care and effort put into that. One of the other things that I thought was really good was there's this blur effect thing that happens when the first time Tony and Maria spot each other from across the room. I thought that was really effective. It kind of blurs out the rest of the crowd, and then it just sort of sees them looking at each other. And there was also another interesting use of lighting that was really good when two of the characters were talking to each other, and they were really close, and they were almost in the dark and silhouetted, while the background, everyone was well lit. And it just made me think of if I wish I could have seen the play version of it, because I imagine that they probably tried to replicate some of the elements that the play used and pull it into a movie form. So I really liked the aspects of the way it looked and the way it was shot. As far as who stood out to me, Natalie Wood, I can honestly say I can't really remember much that I've seen her in. I'm sure I have, but it's just nothing comes to mind offhand. But she's a very stunning looking woman, and she pulls this role off very, very well in terms of being able to believe that this character has fallen in love with this guy after just seeing him for the first time. She really sells it really, really well. The bad stuff, well, I guess that has to do with some of the aspects of the way it seems dated, because the actors that were portraying the Puerto Ricans, I mean, maybe one person was really actually Hispanic in nature, but everybody else looked like they
Rita
just
Moreno
had
was the
bronzer
only Puerto Rican person basically in that film.
Yeah, so, and that's very obvious when you see it, and it's just kind of like, but it also has this weird actuality to it, because there's all these actors, and even she looked like she had some of this darkening bronzer stuff on, but yet when you look at Natalie Wood, she's all light skinned and just like, and it's kind of interesting in that way. It's like, are they saying that, she's more acceptable because she's more closer to white looking, and yet the others are so dark, and so why wouldn't they just use a dark skinned Puerto Rican actress or made her look darker to really kind of put the distinction across a little bit more in terms of how different they are. But her almost looking just basically white, it just kind of pulls that effect a little bit off from where it could have been. And I think the other sort of bad thing about that is just that it just seems like it lends itself to. I was looking in the background, and there's some scenes where the few times I did see any black people, they were definitely in the background. Like there was a scene when they're at the dance and they're all dancing around, and I just saw the black people just standing up against the wall. I was like, yeah, okay, all right, this is how it is.
I mean, this was the 60s. So, I mean, it was the 60s movie.
It was the 60s. Yeah. So, but that's why I'm interested and curious as to what Steven Spielberg will do with the movie, because I don't know if he's still using that same aspect of Puerto Ricans and whites and then just going to modernize it as today, or if it's still supposed to place in the 60s. Because one of the other bad things I kind of noticed was that during some of the songs and certain lyrics and stuff, it talks about certain things that today you'd be like, oh, that's, not PC. So I'm curious as if they would change things or just have the same sort of feel to it. But the ugly part I felt like was that since this movie came out in 1961 and it's 57 years old, that the movie is still as relevant today as it was back then in terms of race relations and how people see each other. And it just seems so bad and vile that we can still be having these same issues at this point in time, when the overall message and theme of the movie to me was that, you should spend more time trying to understand each other and love each, as opposed to trying to isolate each other because of our differences. And it's just sad that in 57 years and even beyond that, we still haven't, as a society, learned that lesson. But overall, I did enjoy the movie. It pulled me in, and I don't watch a ton of musicals for no other reason other than the fact that I just haven't seen them. But I did enjoy this. So thank you very much, Michelle, for giving me that challenge.
Yeah, I mean, one of the major reasons I kind of picked it out was what you were just saying a minute ago, was basically like, it touches on so many things of what's happening in society, between different races and the issues that we still have, and the fact that this movie was made when it was made, and we're still having basically the exact same issues. Like, it's frustrating in a way, and it's interesting to see that, no matter how time passes, unfortunately, we're still going through these same issues. And in a way, some things are better, but some things are exactly the same. And it's eye-opening in a very weird little way kind of thing. I don't know. But I will say, I think it's a solid musical. It's actually the most Oscar-winning musical of all time.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's officially the one that's won the most Oscars as far as musicals go. And that's saying a lot, considering how many spectacular musicals have definitely been nominated for quite a few things. You look at Fiddler on the Roof, or and I don't really agree with it per se, but Chicago was nominated for a crap ton back when it came out, but no, it's the most Oscar winning musical of our time. So
I actually just recently watched the Greatest Showman the other day.
Oh, you did?
I did.
Oh, The Greatest Showman. What'd you think?
Loved it. Absolutely thought it was brilliant. Lots of fun. Totally good movie.
I'm glad you enjoyed it, Jascha.
And Michelle, what'd you think? Because it sounded like a little bit of not as much loving it.
I'm mixed with Greatest Showman. I'm mixed on it. I like all the music that's in it, but the movie as a whole for me, it's a little too mushy.
Oh.
But anyways, so Bobby.
Yes, Michelle.
Everybody's waiting.
Oh, you're waiting for me
No. We're not.
Challenge to someone else, right?
Nobody's on pins and needles about that at all.
Okay. No, I got you covered. So I am actually going to take a a little page out of your book, Michelle, and doing something that you mentioned a few weeks ago when we put forth this challenge. And I plan on challenging you, Michelle, you, David, and Jascha to watch something.
Oh, what? Triple threat.
How do you know that we all haven't seen this?
Well, I'm guessing that you haven't. I don't know, so I guess you'll have to tell me if you have seen it or if one of you have seen it. But my challenge for you three is to watch 4 episodes of The Good Place.
Oh, that's easy for me considering I've watched basically the first season.
Okay, yeah, I've watched, I think, half of the first season of The Good Place. Like, I watched the first 4 or 5 episodes, maybe, well, that's a little less than half, I should say. But I have watched some of The Good Place.
I take it back. I haven't watched the last 2 episodes of The Good Place.
Of the first season?
Yeah.
That's the one with Christian Bale, right?
And I know David.
I've seen the first 2 episodes, but it's been a while.
Oh.
And we have crushed Bobby's.
I know.
Yeah.
No, but this is a good thing. This is a good thing because I'm actually happy that you guys have seen it because the reason why I was going to challenge you to this is because I noticed that there is a panel for The Good Place at Comic-Con this year. Mm-hmm. I believe it's on Saturday or so. So just in case you don't go to Hall H, that would be a good place, no pun intended, to go.
Oh,
I like that.
And just in case. So that's why I was going to bring that one up. But I have a backup, and it excludes Jascha, but it includes you, Michelle, and you, David. So, and it may exclude Michelle. I just don't know for sure.
How come I'm excluded out of this one? I don't understand.
Because you've seen this now.
Jascha's yelling prejudice.
If you
I'm not
want to watch,
offended, but I think we all know.
Fine. But the challenge for you guys is to watch the Ryan Coogler directed movie Creed.
Okay.
I'm cool with that.
All right. Yeah, I have not seen that.
Because I've wanted to watch that. And then I will say,
I keep seeing this Creed 2 trailer like twice now, and I'm like, yeah, I really need to watch Creed.
Yeah, I know. Every time I see the trailer, I'm like, I really need to watch that first.
Yeah.
It's so good. It's so good. I really enjoyed that movie.
I've heard spectacular things. I really would like to see this film, and I don't really have a reason for why I haven't seen it. I couldn't tell you what occurred during the time of its release, but yeah, I want to see it.
All right, challenge accepted. I will say that it's going to come after Comic-Con, but yeah, I'll watch it.
Okay.
Yeah, and I know that because like I know I need to catch up on Westworld before we go to San Diego.
Before we go to San Diego.
Otherwise, that's shameful. And honestly, I'd really like to finish up Legion. Like, I'm almost done with the season 1 of Legion. So basically, I need to bust through season 2. And Legion has a much smaller season than traditional shows do. So I really want to knock out Legion before we get out to California. And then anything else would be great, but those are like my goals. Like before, pre-California trip, pre-Comic-Con, I'm like, oh, I really, because there's a Legion panel on Sunday.
Sunday, yeah.
I'd like to go to that. I really would.
Yeah, I'd like to go too, but I definitely don't want to go if I haven't watched it all. So
I'm with you.
Feeling about that.
You shouldn't go if you haven't watched it all.
Right.
Yeah.
I say that, and I went to the Legion panel. Was it last year or the year before? I think it was last year, and I hadn't watched season 1. But I've been fine. Like it was a good experience because if anything, it made me go, wow, I really need to be watching the show.
It made you want to watch the show.
Yeah.
Okay, so I get that.
But at this point, yeah, I don't think going to a panel now on Hall H for Legion post season 2, I should be going to that if I haven't watched
Spoilers.
it all. Yeah.
But I do want to see Creed, and hopefully the goal is to come back from San Diego, see it, because I do want to see Creed too. Like, because that comes out pretty shortly after, right?
I don't know what the.
I think it's. I want to say Thanksgiving around that time.
Yeah.
Oh, I am way off.
Yeah, I thought it was sometime in the fall.
Wow. Okay.
November 21st.
I just feel like, man, we are super busy because between cramming stuff in before we go to Comic-Con, then actual Comic-Cons, that's a whole week right there, of which that's going to be an awesome week for so many different reasons. And then we get back and we have Mission Impossible Fallout.
Weekend of Comic-Con, we have Equalizer 2.
Oh, well, you know.
Dang. I didn't realize that. And I think this week is Skyscraper, and not that any one of you guys are probably interested in it, but I always like to go see the Rock movies, so I'll be.
I like to support
out.
The Rock too. I mean, simply just because he's just so damn great with his fans. He seems so appreciative of everything. Like, yeah, I'm with you, Bobby. I support The Rock movies, even though I'm looking at this and I'm just like, dude, this just looks dumb. Like, why did you agree to this?
Hey, Jack.
You say that though. Like, to me, when it comes to Rock movies, there's definitely Rock movies I think that look way sillier than this. Like, for one, Rampage. I had less than zero desire to see Rampage.
True. Very true.
Skyscraper, yeah, the TV spots I've been seeing lately, I've definitely been more like kind of rolling my eyes at. But like the first full trailer I saw, Skyscraper, I don't know. I watched it and I was like, I'd watch this. Like,
I have invites for screeners.
I would go see Skyscraper, but there's been a few other Rock movies that have not done anything for me. That's kind of where I stand on Skyscraper. So yeah, I'd see that movie. Will I? I don't know, but
I will say now that we have our AMC A-list, man, it opens up a lot of possibilities.
Yeah.
Well, I will say that if you have the time, you should check it out, because one of my buddies who didn't go to get the movie pass, he ended up getting the AMC A-list, and he's already saying that right now he's seeing more movies than he probably would have seen in general, because he would have just waited to Redbox most of the movies or not watched them at all, and he's already seen at least 2 or 3 movies that he considers that he probably just wouldn't have seen if he didn't have it. So, if you're trying to get your money, I could see you definitely wanting to use it just to go see something like Skyscraper if it's not something that you necessarily would have saw before. Right. And I honestly, if this had been around a little bit earlier, I definitely would have been using it to its fullest extent, because there had been some times where I didn't go to AMC Twin Edwards just because it was closer. But if I had had this, I would have made more use out of it, just because it's a little bit more expensive than the movie pass.
All right. Well, with that, we're going to wrap things up. As always, we'd love to hear back from everyone listening. You can reach us on Twitter at @Flickr_effect. You can also find us on Facebook, on YouTube, on Instagram. Just search for Flickr Effect. And you can also email us at feedback@flickereffect.com with your questions and comments. I'm David Lott.
I'm Bobby Jackson.
I'm Jascha Wilson.
And I'm Michelle Hillard.
Thanks for listening.